Hello, welcome back to 2024 episodes of What's New in AWS with Enterprise Support. Thank you so much for joining. I think we've got audience from all over the world on our show today, and we've also got a lot of different hosts and guests with you today. We've got Simon Lee. Simon, wave, thank you very much. Tom Liu,
Hi.
wave. Hi, everyone. Paul Colmer as well. Paul's joining us.
Hey, welcome everyone.
Hey.
Thanks to everyone for joining us on the show. I'd love to know what is going to be talked about today. Simon, you're a senior technical account manager at Amazon Web Services with Enterprise Support. What are you here to talk about today?
Well, I'm just going to tell you about saving money on EC2, which I think is always interesting, right?
Everybody wants to save money.
EC2. I've got a hypothesis. I'm going to test it out on the stream today and bring you all with me.
Awesome. Tom, another TAM here with Enterprise Support. What are you going to talk about today?
Yeah, today I would love to talk about large language model evaluations, is particularly on backdrop services. Though the service is kind of in preview, but I think it's good fun to bring the awareness and talk about how the service can help.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Tom. We've also got Paul. Paul is a former TAM, now senior technical trainer with training and certification. What are you going through today, Paul?
Well, I am super excited to be talking about generative AI. That is my passion. Amazon Q, a service that's in preview that's released at reInvent. Very excited to talk through that and some of the business benefits the customers can expect. And we'll do a little demo as well, so super excited.
Fantastic. I'm looking forward to that one, Paul. Let's kick off the show. Simon, I'm going to hand over to you. If you can take us through what you're going to present and a little bit about why people are going to start using this.
Yeah. Sure. Hold on. Before doing that, I just want to call out tomorrow will be Chinese New Year. So which I actually posted in LinkedIn about our program. So maybe it's a good bit fun for us to know a bit what is it, and maybe Simon can talk about that first, right?
Yeah, sure. Okay,
please do.
Put me on the spot there. So it's basically the lunar calendar, right? So we follow, it's a traditionally agricultural culture. We follow the lunar calendar. So the first of the year basically means it's start of spring. I know we're all from Australia here, so we're not feeling spring, but it is in traditional culture, and so people come out of their it will be a busy time for farmers basically, and so it's a great time to celebrate the new year. There's a lot of great traditions. It's time for the family. It's time to meet up with friends, I'm actually having people over for dinner, and then they've asked me quite shamelessly to let them stay for the night, which is fine. And then we're going out to Chinatown tomorrow just to soak in the festive atmosphere.
Wow.
Tom, your place looks big enough to host a family. What's happening at your house?
Well, I'm gonna to call for a party then, so everyone can just join. This is virtual, so the more people come, the better fun also. Yeah. So, but one thing I do want to share about that in Chinese culture, particularly during Lunar New Year. So, for adults married, they pretty much will prepare some red pocket, and which wrap up with some money, small amount or so. And Simon's married already, yeah. So if Thames peers in Melbourne can meet Simon in person, then you can apply for the red pocket dollars also. Yeah, that's
Tom,
quick
I'm
tips.
Gonna fly to you and get some red pockets from you.
Okay.
I think my dog's
nice try.
Kids,
just come to my mansion and I'll do that for you. Okay. All right.
I smell a secondary stream on there. All right, Simon, please tell us about what you're going to take us through on the show today.
Yeah, sure. Myra, can I have the screen, please? So when we talk about cost optimization on compute, there's a lot of talk in recent years of, hey, move to ARM-based architecture, move to Graviton, that's going to save you a lot of money. And that's well and good and quite easy to do for things like your managed services, your RDS, your Elasticache, things like that. But it's quite difficult on EC2 instances. So a lot of, you have to rewrite quite a bit of your application, not all application, would support that. And so what I see in customers, there's a paralysis in, changing that instance type because they feel like they're not ready to move to Graviton. Now, with our launch of C7i or, the Star 7i processors in EC2 or instance families in EC2, we're actually seeing a pretty big leap in performance for, especially compared to older instance type like the C4s and the C5s. And so what I want to do today is to kind of benchmark that performance and see if we can actually get some cost benefit out of that. So let's go to here. This is my EC2 console. You can see I've got 4 instances running. So I've got a C44 X large, which is an instance size that a lot of our customers are using. I've got the same size in C5 and in C7i. So what I want to do is to use a tool called Sysbench. And Sysbench is quite a popular open source tool for benchmarking CPU performances. But also, I think it's quite useful because it simulates typical actual workloads, right? It's not just a stress test on your CPU speed. It actually looks at workloads, and so I think that will be quite representative of the real world performance that you'll see that. So let's start with single core performance. You can see the thread here. It's 1, and I'll run a 30-second CPU run on this instance here, which is a C4 for X large, and I'll do that on the C5s as well and on the C7i.
Hey Simon, I'm curious, like what metrics you work on for the performance measurement then in your use case?
Okay. So once that comes out here, which will probably comes out in about 10 seconds, so this is basically we're looking at events per second, and that's essentially how many prime numbers it can calculate, and the limit is 20,000 now, which is quite high enough. And then we also look at latency. So the C4 results, it's 386 events per second. The latency is around 2.5 to 2.9 ms. And the C5, this one is 480 event per second. So quite a bit faster already. So about 25% faster. Latency is about 2 ms. Now, if we look at the C7i, you can see that event per second is actually 1,229. So compared to the C4, we're talking about 3x the performance there. And compared to
3 or 4 times. That's massive.
Yeah, that is quite impressive. And then obviously the latency, it's much lower as well. That's below 1 millisecond. But single-threaded workloads is not really representative of our typical use case. So what I want to do is to look at multi-threaded workload as well. So for 4x large, there are 8 core 16 threads. So that's what I'll be running for all 3 of these. Oops. Here. Now I mentioned at the beginning of the call that I have a hypothesis, and the hypothesis is that because the performance of the C7i is a lot faster, I can probably get away with similar performance with half the cores. And the reason why that's important is the way that we scale. And I'll just run this while I talk. The reason why it's important is that the way we scale at AWS is, usually we double the core size, especially for some of the small instances. So even if your performance is about 20% faster, if you're really maxing out that existing instance that you're using, you can't really go down the size, right? But if your performance is basically doubled, then it's a conversation to have whether you can actually go down the size. And so what I have here is a M7i, and the reason why I'm not using a C instance is I want to keep the memory, the amount of memory the same, but use half the cores. So let's go back to the results. So here in the C4 for XLarge, we have 4,800 events per second. Here in the C5, we've got 6,000. And then here in the C7i, we've got 10,000. So compared to the C4 here, we're actually more than double the performance. We're about 40 to 45% higher on than the C5. And if we go to the M7i, we're getting 5,000. So again, half the cores, we're getting more than the performance of the C4. So so if I look at this, right, and I look at the pricing, which I also have here, a C4 on demand is $1.04. Yeah, this is pricing in the Sydney region. And if I look at pricing in the Sydney region for M7i 2X Large, that's half the cost.
Half the price. Wow. Huge difference.
It's a huge difference.
Like it is a huge difference. And so I feel like if you're still on a C4, it's really a no-brainer to move to a C7i or M7i or any of the 7i family. Obviously, there are a couple of caveats, but before I tell you that, I want to show you how easy it is to actually switch an instance type. So going back to this place here, I've actually got an instance that's stopped right here, and it's a C4 2X Large. So what I want to do here is I want to go into Action, Instance Setting, Change Instance Type. And I want to make it M7i 2X Large. Actually, since I can actually get away with the performance with it being half the size, I'll actually go to an X Large. So you can actually look at the comparisons here. So same architecture, same EBS. We actually got a little bit more memory on the M7i, but at half the cost. So I'll just apply here.
You tend to see that, don't you, quite often with the newer instance types. They have better performance and lower price.
Absolutely. And then once you've done that, start the instance, it'll perform all the tests, all the checks, and then it'll start up. In a couple of minutes, you'll be ready to go. So I've mentioned a couple of caveats there that you need to be aware of. So one of the things is you need to look at whether it's a really old instance. So if you're on an M3, for example, or the first generation of M4, and you have different virtualization methods. So all the current instances have hardware virtualization, whereas the older ones have para virtualization. So that might be something that you need to figure out before you do the migration. And the second one is if it's a commercial or something that you've bought in the marketplace a long time ago, you need to be aware of the contract terms. So that's it. That's all I have for today. I think it's a pretty compelling case to really test it out. Any questions? Open a support case. Our support engineer would be more than happy to walk you through.
Or ask in the
Simon.
chat.
We've got a comment from Space Cadet Commander. Their favorite thing about AWS is the billing department and how they offer to pay for a tech support to explain what services they're charging you for. Thank you for your comment there, Space Cadet Commander.
Well, if you're paying for a resource like a TAM and we're telling you how to save money, what we tend to see is that ROI for that TAM, it's or enterprise support, it's actually pretty high. So yeah, I think all the
Thank you,
TAMs
Simon.
tend to agree.
Let's move on to our next topic. We've got Tom. Tom's going to talk to us about more machine learning and artificial intelligence. Please, Tom, what have you got for us this week?
Sure. Today, I would like to talk about large language model evaluations, and pretty much the idea is that with large language model, we potentially can power the application to respond in a plausible and like a human-like response to your downstream tasks for your customer potentially. However, though we have many cutting edges like leading large language model, how should we choose? We believe that should be like options that we provide, which is like Bedrock platform. And on top of that, how like we want to help our customer how to choose also choosing in regarding on like a measurement, which is evaluation. It's pretty much quite similar like what Simon trying to do on the benchmark testing, like you want to benchmark testing against on the performance, but on large language model potential, there can be other factor. This is important in the sense that it's pretty much can help a customer to make informed decisions, and rather than just saying that, oh, I send this prompt to the large language model and I feel that the response is good, and then this kind of like decision is not really helpful, with a holistic view or so. Yeah. So also like before jumping on to talk about the detail, I also want to call out usually like for practice perspective, there are kind of some areas we want to measure against, which are accuracy, or like to evaluate how they respond accurate. Of course, based on different kind of like a tasks, it can be different. Talking about tasks, it can be like a text summarization, question answering, or so on and so forth. And the other factor, we may want to evaluate potentially toxicity. And this part is to understand that you don't want to generate harmful content to your customers. So, and of course, the other one, it can be on like robustness or so. But other than those like a nature response from engineering perspective, you may also verify on course and verify on such as the throughput, latency or so. But today we'll focus on the three, like such as those accuracy, toxicity, and also robustness. Okay, and now I would like to jump into my demo. And Maya, could you please? Thank you. Maya's really doing a fantastic job for me. Now, like talking about evaluation, I want to help you understand that there pretty much can be like different kind of phases. At the very beginning, your focus potentially may be I may want to like quickly get a sense of feeling which LLM kind of responds me with a good manner or like preferred manner I like. And then I will move on to like some sort of like data evaluation perspective. Now, talking about the first one, what is that? We understand that when you're building like a LLM power applications, very often you're going to struggle at choosing a large language model, or you just go for a leading one or so. Yeah, that's not a problem. But like in Bedrock, we provide option for you to have a bit of transparency. Let's say that we jump on to the chat playground. With Chat Playground nowadays, we have the building UI functions for our customer to easy to do the comparison between like a two large language model. Let's say that I want to start trying my prompts on a LLM. Let's say that I choose Titan text gen expression. Now, once I choose it, apply, then I select this one on my chat. And bear in mind that at the right-hand side, you pretty much can choose this one and make a decision whether you want to choose another. And why choosing another means that when you send out a prompt, like the services will send out the prompt to both model and get response for you. And with this, you can it's kind of very handy for you to have a bit of sense like how the LLM responds to you and making a decision. How would you like to tune the prompt and choose the prompt for your like POC or so. Yeah, this is kind of option one, but like in my
Can you show
use
us
case,
what that looks like in practice, Tom? Give us a bit of a check. Yeah.
like I feel a bit unconfident if I choose multiple options here to do a comparison, because people may say, may have some sort of opinions that whether it's good or bad or so. But just choose a general one. We just ask a general question: what is LM evaluation? Okay, and once we sense it out, it will just pretty much give us some response from those two. Okay, now this is Titan response. Yeah, 13B take a bit a while. Yeah, so it's listing some bullet points here, and like it's talking about a lot, like a LLM looks like it's talking about different things, but sometimes it's not very not good clear enough. Maybe just didn't have the LLM at the time, can be like data recency issue. Then you get back us on different kind of content. Like this can happen very often. But one thing I want to call out here, just park that one, which is that we can choose those model metrics for some level or initial evaluation. For example, if you want to understand that like the input token, output token, and also how the response latency looks like, we can do this kind of setting. And if the conditions kind of not met, and then it will flat. It will be flat, and we can see the difference here. Right? For example, like from the model metric or so, we can see those respond or so. Yeah. So this is just a very quick one. Now I want to talk about another one, which is a model evaluations.
Sorry, Tom, we don't have time. We're going to have to move on to Paul.
Okay, no problem.
We've got another 8 minutes. So thank you so much, Tom, for going through the model evaluation in Amazon Bedrock. Paul, tell us, what have you got today to talk about? You mentioned Amazon Q. I'm excited to see what you can do with it.
Yes, what goodies do I have? So we're going to do a little demonstration of Amazon Q. It's a generative AI-powered assistant designed to help business employees become more efficient. Now, there are a few versions of Q. So the version I'm going to demo today is the business version, Amazon Q for Business. And so if we segue to my screen, you'll see we're on the demo screen. Wonderful. I will share the link showing the different versions. You can see your business is the one we're focused on, but we do have other versions here. So let me quickly share that in the chat, and then we'll move straight to that demo screen. So what you'll see here is that you can build an application. That's the first step. And the application is really simple. So what I did there was click on the right-hand side. I'm in Amazon Q at the moment. And to build an application, I simply give it a name. I have to give it something called a service role. And I'd recommend creating and using a new service role as the easiest option. Then you click create. You then have to wait about 5 minutes. So because of that, here's one I prepared earlier. There's a few apps here. On the next screen, if we were in that screen now, you would then be taken to configure what's called a retriever. So a retriever is simply a way of importing data from a source system. So that's what's exciting about Q, is that we can not only write a prompt, so it's a chatbot, we can write a prompt to answer a question. We can also create a connection, a data source connector to talk to either an internal data source, maybe it's an Oracle database, maybe it's a Microsoft SQL database, or maybe it's cloud native. It might be Atlassian Jira, it might be Slack. We can supplement our prompt with information from those source systems. And that's the magic that a retriever does. It creates an index for you. It basically trawls all those documents, creates an index, and then it matches your prompt to the index whilst you type that prompt. And so that was the next step in here. Let me quickly
Can you show us what it looks like, Paul? Yeah.
Sure. I was going to show you how to add data source. Let's move straight to the demo, right? So I think we're short on time, right? Let's hit the timing. Yes, we are. So by the way, if anyone's got any questions, please pop them in the chat. So here we are. We're going to click on the AWS training and certification. So what I've done here, I'm going to go to preview web experience, is I created what's called a web crawler, and it's crawled the training and certification website. So it means we can ask a question to do with training and certification. It can check its index and give us a great answer. So let me show you some examples that I prepared, and then I'll open it up to the audience if they want to ask some questions.
Please do. We'd love to see your questions come through.
That would be amazing. That would be amazing. So here we are. We're actually in the application at the moment.
Actually,
so,
for those in the audience, maybe you'd like to tell us what Paul can pop in to ask the agent.
Absolutely, that'd be great. Yeah. Let's just ask it a simple question. What course should I start with at AWS? I did have some prepared on the left there, but for some reason they seem to have disappeared. I don't know why. Well, that was a good start. Let's just go back. Make sure I'm in the right application. Mine's a bit laggy. This is a bit laggy at the moment. Let's go back. This demo is not going well at the moment. Let's just see if we can get this on track. Come on. It's running slow for some reason.
I think you were at test app 2, Paul, wasn't it?
I think you're right, which doesn't have any data loaded in there.
There we
so
go.
Let's go. Right.
You've got the right one.
Oh, you can see it's running a bit laggy at the moment. I don't know why. So let me try something else. Let's try in here. If I can click on it and preview web experience, that's another way we can go in. That's probably why I didn't see any conversation, because we're in the wrong app. I think it's the lag here it's running very slowly. This is the joys of live demos, right, team? Right? They never want to work when you want them to.
Tom, you might have to sacrifice some of those red envelopes to the demo gods.
That's right. So what you're going to see in a moment is that same chatbot. You're on the left, you're going to see some pre-prepared conversations. For the sake of time, I'll just show you some of the pre-prepared conversations. Now, if anybody's got any questions they want to ask of training and certification, feel free to pop that in the chat and we can try that. Unfortunately, oh, here we go. Let's check we're in the right app. Here we go. Very simple question. What courses can I take that will help me learn about generative AI? This is one that I did yesterday, and it's listed out. Here are the courses that can help. And what's really important is it's showing you the sources as well. So if I click on those sources, it will show you which parts of the website it's derived that information from.
And for those of you who love watching Twitch, it's calling out the training course on Twitch called AWS Cloud Quest Generative AI. Please check that out. It'll be in the schedule.
Absolutely right. Fantastic. One more as well. I'm new to AWS Cloud. What course should I start with? Let me just scroll up to the top. AWS Cloud Practitioner Essentials. So again, we've got that crawler. It's trawled the website. It's indexed all of the information. It's able to add context to that information from the index, and it's able to answer that question correctly and also cite the sources. So the Cloud Practitioner Essentials course is our starter course for those wanting to get into a cloud, which leads to the AWS Cloud Practitioner. Awesome. I think that's all we've got time for, isn't it, Graham, for demos?
Unfortunately, yes. But you know what? I've just had an idea. Maybe in future shows, we can build an app together, maybe over a couple of episodes. And then, everyone can join us for those, see how to put it together step by step. You can show us how to add the data connectors, how to get it running and syncing either automatically or manually. And then we can all play with it.
That'll be awesome. Let's do that. Sounds like a plan.
Thank you so much, Paul, Tom, and Simon, for everything you've done for today's show. Thank you so much to our audience for being here. Come back. We are streaming fortnightly this year. Last year was once per month, and now you get us every second week. And we're going to have a broad spectrum of content coming from a variety of people in enterprise support, solution architecture, training and certification. Lots of people from across the business to come and talk to you and help you get started or be successful with Amazon Web Services. Thanks again, and we will be back in 2 weeks with more content. Have a great day.
Take care, everyone.